Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to another day in leftist election rigging. So this here post came out on the 12th of this month. Labour break electoral law outside polling station. Police officer confirms he didn't even know it was illegal. A video has emerged showing a Labour activist illegally handing leaflets out outside a polling station in Redbridge, East London, despite it being illegal to campaign on election day, particularly outside polling stations. The video was shared by a gentleman on Twitter, understandably frustrated that the stunt to manipulate voters by breaking the law. Here we can see the video.
What are you telling me?
I'm telling you to take a leaflet.
Take a leaflet?
Take a leaflet.
Telling me to take a leaflet outside a polling station?
I'm not outside the polling station.
You're outside a polling station.
I'm outside.
Mate, I'm pretty sure that's...
It's not, just tell the police.
So this guy's trying to hand me a Labour leaflet.
Right.
Outside a polling station.
Right.
That's a breach of electoral law.
Is it?
Yeah. So...
Oh, the British police. I sure as hell hope that Boris gives them a very, very severe kick up the arse. Even more shocking was the response he received from a nearby police officer who appears to have been stationed right next to the Corbynister and allows him to proceed when informed that the Labour activist promoting Faiza Shaheen was handing out leaflets and that it is a direct breach of electoral law. The officer seemed surprised, gormlessly replying, "Is it?" Anyway, yesterday, VoteWatch revealed that members of Faiza Shaheen's Labour campaign group had been caught in the area shoplifting. That's interesting. In Greggs and Clinton's. The relevant authorities have been made aware of the incident. VoteWatch has also demanded an answer as to why the police officer tasked with upholding the integrity and law of the election does not even know the law that he's supposed to be upholding. Let's go now on to the next article. Staff from Labour-run council, this came out 5 days later on the 17th, yesterday. Staff from Labour-run council sentenced for postal vote fraud. I said it before, that people need and must watch out for what is a tradition at this point of leftist, savagely criminal election rigging, and here we go, justice is served. So, 2 staff members of Slough Borough Council who forged signatures and recorded false information on electoral registration forms have been sentenced by magistrates. Zakaria Dar and Natalia Glowacka appeared in the magistrates' court after attempting to rob the British electorate of their voice. The pair had volunteered to be canvassers and to knock on the doors of people who had not filled in electoral registration forms. They were tasked with getting the residents to complete the vital information for the council and for residents who would be unable to vote without it. However, instead of filling out the forms with the correct information, the crooked duo, who it is claimed are both Labour supporters, filled them in with false information and forged signatures. Slough Council has issued the following statement. The forms were submitted to the electoral team who realised very quickly something was wrong during a routine sample check where the information did not match that already on the council system. A series of similar-looking signatures were also discovered. As a result, more checks were conducted and it was discovered a large number of forms contained false information which had been completed by the employees who had been trusted with the job rather than the named householder. Zakaria Dar, 23, of Oatlands Drive, Manor Park, admitted 1 count of fraud on between 24th of September and 1st of December 2018 and was sentenced to at Reading Magistrates Court on the 12th of November 2019. He was a housing officer at the time of the offence and resigned from his role after he was suspended during an investigation. He was ordered to complete a 12 months community order, 220 hours of unpaid work and 20 rehabilitation days. He was also ordered to pay £2,888.06 in costs and a victim surcharge of £85. Magistrates told him, quote, "It is worth noting that you were in a position of trust by your employers on matters that pertain to voting, which is critical in a democracy. Quote, you were trusted to be fully compliant. Instead, you took forms and signed them yourself without the rigour of checking who was in the accommodation. The impact of these actions could have a terrible effect on the voters in the accommodation should it have changed, and they would have become disenfranchised. Cam Varaich, prosecuting Dar, said, quote, "These documents are integral to the electoral system as a whole." He said as a result of the incident, the council had invested in an electronic registration system where tablets were used to capture the information as well as tracking canvassers' whereabouts. Natalia Glowacka, 26, of Trelawney Avenue, Langley, also admitted one count of fraud between 24th of September and 1st of December 2018. Just one, by the way, just one count of fraud, not the hundreds. No. At the time, she was employed as a council housing officer, but resigned after being suspended during the investigation. She was sentenced on the 12th of December and ordered to complete a 12-month community order, 50 hours of unpaid work, and 10 rehabilitation days. She was also ordered to pay £800 in costs and a victim a charge of 85 quid. This was a breach of trust not only to their employers but also the people of Slough. The voting register is an important legal document which affects a resident's ability to vote as well as their credit status. This is an example of where we take such matters extremely seriously and not only take internal action but pursue it through the courts. I am happy that our internal checking systems are sufficiently robust and this activity was spotted early. In Slough we take any kind of fraud extremely seriously and particularly as it relates to the democratic process. The actions of these defendants have resulted in a change in the way we collect information to prevent dishonesty in the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you need to know? You need to know that when their bread and butter techniques of emotional blackmail and psychological terrorism fail on the population, they resort to savagely criminal mob harassment or election fraud. That is what we have seen in this case scenario. Also, I want to briefly go through some other things. Boris Johnson to investigate George Soros for anti-Brexit activity. An urgent investigation has been called by the Conservative Party early last month into Liberal billionaire philanthropist George Soros after it was revealed that he had funneled around $4 million into anti-Brexit causes in the UK. The Conservative Party have called for an urgent electoral commission probe into George Soros' American Open Society Foundation after putting money towards a campaign to block Brexit at the ballot box, according to the Daily Mail. The Open Society Foundation remitted funds to the pro-EU, quote, Tony Blair's Best for Britain group, routed via a London third party, so money laundering in order to undermine British democracy, is what George Soros, is up to. Okay? In order to circumvent a ban on foreign donations to political organisations in the UK with the goal to effect political change. Best for Britain, BFB, had designed a website with the intention to thwart the Prime Minister's chances of majority in last week's general election. In the past 2 years, BFB, Best for Britain, has received around $4 million from the Open Society Foundation, which was confirmed in the accounts of the anti-Brexit organisation. Best for Britain also shared a Westminster office building with other notorious anti-Brexit organisations, including Open Britain and the European Movement. All of the above organisations have played a public role in attempting to derail Brexit. Soros has been one of the most prominent globalist personalities, with his organisations and philanthropy targeting globalist causes. According to the Daily Mail, Best for Britain said, quote, Our financial statements are appropriately filed and make clear we have received money from the Open Society Foundation. Quote, During regulated periods such as elections, we use permissible UK donations for regulated campaign activity to comply with Electoral Commission rules. Bollocks. Okay? Bollocks. They have actively tried to undermine British democracy, thwart the will of 17.4 million people, and usual crony shit. Moving on. No money from foreign donations is used to fund this. We look forward to the Electoral Commission confirming this is the case. Given the damage a Johnson government and a hard Brexit would inflict on the country, we have received a large number of donations from all over Britain. Of course you have. Not from Soros's pocket or Open Society Foundation. Of course. They think that the entire population is foolish, low information, ignorant plebs that don't see through it. But I know that all of you watching this are not such. And I take the utmost consolation, confidence, courage, and conviction in such. Keep up the good work during this frosty Christmas period. In spite of the attempts to subvert the democratic process, Johnson managed to secure a majority government in the general election. Soros' political activity has led to the banning of his organizations in several countries. These are specifically, by the way, Russia, Turkey, the Philippines, Ukraine, and some others that I don't recall. I believe the total number of countries he's banned in is 7 presently. So we're going to now move on to what George Soros has to say exactly in his own words. This is from the Daily Mail article that was cited in this here article. So this here is the actual Daily Mail article that is cited in this one, right? Tories call for urgent investigation into £3 million that George Soros funneled into anti-Brexit campaign aimed at bringing down Boris Johnson. We won't go into this, you can all go into this yourselves, but I want to play the 3 minutes and 33 seconds clip where George Soros is talking about this, and I'm going to offer my critique towards it. Let's begin.
Unfortunately, Brexit has not only created an opening to reinvent the EU, it has also aggravated 2 looming dangers. First, it unleashed a crisis in the financial markets, comparable in severity only to 2007.
This is false. You may think that he knows a lot more about it than you compared to international economics, but the man literally weaves and plucks the strings of causes and effect such to get his way. Britain leaving the EU will not destroy the euro if they play ball. If they don't play ball, it's going to be 2007, 2008 again. Yes. However, that's not written in the stars, is it, Soros?
7-8. This has been unfolding in slow motion, but Brexit is accelerating it.
Nations that want sovereignty and independence from an oligarchical superstructure are accelerating the demise of globalism. God bless Brexit, ladies.
It's likely to reinforce the deflationary trends that were already prevalent. The Eurozone has been lagging in the global recovery because of restrictive fiscal policies. Now it has to contend with an impending slowdown. The orthodoxy of German policymakers stands in the way of the only effective response, having a Eurozone budget that could adopt counter-cyclical policies. Meanwhile, the banking system of continental Europe has not recovered from the earlier crisis. It will now be severely tested. We know what needs to be done. Unfortunately, political and ideological disagreements within the Eurozone have stood in the way of using the ESM as a backstop for banks as well as sovereigns. Second, the EU faces growing military threats. Our external enemies have been emboldened, posing new, as yet unfathomable dangers in various parts of the wider region that are also liable to aggravate the refugee crisis. It's against this background that I propose to discuss the refugee crisis.
There are no military threats to the European Union as it stands presently. He's lying. Because a war with Russia would be great for the deep state.
With special emphasis on the financial needs it presents. I won't address the human rights and development issues for lack of time, but I discussed them in the written remarks submitted to the various committees. The European response.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, because the human rights and development of migrants are a lot more important than your development and your family's development and your children and your children's children's development for Mr. George Soros. Mr. George, let's smuggle people over the British Channel, Soros. Great stuff, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? A mass human smuggler lecturing people on human rights. Beautiful.
To the refugee crisis was riddled with flaws even before the present turn of events. Chancellor Merkel showed great moral leadership when she opened Germany's doors wide to refugees. Unfortunately,
Chancellor Merkel is a globalist puppet, a mouth without a mind that does what she's told. And she's a good puppet that does what she's told.
her initiative was not well thought through. It ignored the pull factor. When the sudden influx of migrants overwhelmed the capacity of the authorities, public opinion turned against her.
And there you have it from the man himself. Brexit is going to cause an economic apocalypse, and Merkel is great for opening the borders to millions of struggle-snuggle migrants. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely beautiful. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Till next time, hope to see you soon. We'll keep you updated on the stories of election fraud and George Soros, both election meddling and meddling overall in British politics and economics. Toodles for now, ladies and gentlemen. Have a festive and happy Merry Christmas to you all. Hopefully with lots and lots of high potency alcohol and boar sausages. Over and out.